Wow, this week, huh? Bitcoin's been making headlines left and right.
It really has. Quite a roller coaster.
Our listeners send in a whole bunch of articles. Seems everyone's buzzing about it.
Definitely a lot to unpack.
Mm.
From record prices to, well, El Salvador and the IMF.
Yeah, where do we even begin? Guess the biggest news has got to be Bitcoin breaking that $100,000 mark.
Definitely a psychological barrier. First time ever, right?
Yep, peaked at over 107,000. I mean, that puts its market value at, get this, $2 trillion.
More than the entire global silver market. Incredible.
Makes you think, doesn't it? What's driving this surge?
Well, lots of factors, but one article pointed to President-elect Trump.
Trump? Really?
Seems he's been making some pro-crypto moves, talking about a strategic Bitcoin reserve, like countries hold gold.
Interesting. So governments are starting to see Bitcoin as more than just, speculative play money.
Seems like it. Plus, he's appointed Paul Atkins as SEC chairman.
He's a big dough.
Big crypto advocate. So those signals are making investors pretty bullish.
Right. Makes sense. Speaking of bullish, what about MicroStrategy? They're not just dipping their toes, they're diving headfirst into Bitcoin.
Yeah, Michael Saylor, their CEO, is practically a Bitcoin evangelist at this point.
And they just bought another $1.5 billion worth. That's on top of their existing stash.
Bringing their total to a staggering 439,000 Bitcoin. Worth, what, around $47 billion now?
It's like they're putting their money where their mouth is, big time.
Oh, and there's more. MicroStrategy is about to join the NASDAQ 100.
The NASDAQ 100, that's what, the big leagues?
Exactly. December 23rd, they're in. Huge stamp of approval for Bitcoin.
So this could mean more institutional investors are going to jump on board.
Potentially. Seeing it included in such a prestigious index could make them feel more comfortable, less risky.
I guess that's the big question, though, isn't it? Is this all just, like, hype, or is Bitcoin really here to stay?
It's hard to say for sure. I mean, some analysts are predicting Bitcoin could hit $150,000, even $200,000 by 2025.
Wow. But then you got El Salvador.
Ah, yes. The first country to make Bitcoin legal tender.
And it's facing some pushback, right, from the International Monetary Fund.
They're not exactly thrilled. The IMF is linking a $1.3 billion loan to changes in El Salvador's Bitcoin law.
So what's the IMF's issue with it?
Concerns about financial stability, consumer protection, Bitcoin's volatility makes them nervous.
Makes sense, I guess. It's a pretty radical experiment, making a cryptocurrency your national currency.
It is. And this whole situation highlights how Bitcoin's decentralized nature clashes with traditional financial systems.
It's almost like two different worlds colliding.
Yeah.
And even on Wall Street, there's no consensus.
Right. You've got Larry Fink, BlackRock's CEO, saying Bitcoin's a legitimate asset.
But then there's Warren Buffett.
Still skeptical, holding on to his doubts.
Guess that shows you how much uncertainty there still is. Is Bitcoin a revolution or a bubble waiting to burst?
It's the million-dollar question, but honestly, what strikes me is how fast this is all happening.
Right. It wasn't that long ago Bitcoin was this fringe thing, and now it's shaking up global finance.
Governments, financial giants, they're all having to reevaluate what currency and value really mean. It's a potential paradigm shift, and the outcome is anyone's guess.
Pretty mind-blowing stuff. For our listeners out there, whether you're invested or just watching from the sidelines, Bitcoin's impact is undeniable.
Absolutely.
This whole landscape is shifting so rapidly. I mean, who knows what next week will bring? But that's what makes it so exciting, right?
Definitely keeps things interesting.
So for you listening, what jumped out at you the most in all this? What's sticking with you? What are you going to be thinking about as you go about your day? It's definitely a lot to chew on.